So, there has been another arrest in the Crystal Rogers case. If you don't know about the Crystal Rogers case, we covered it a while back, so I'll recommend that video. But she is a mother who went missing 4th of July weekend in 2015. She has never been found, but is presumed to be dead. And there have been other murders in connection with her case, like the murder of her father, Tommy Ballard, and also the murder of a police officer who made a stop to move some branches and was shot and killed. And there is suspicion around those that they are connected. There's also, the FBI actually just went to investigate something and said it was in connection with one of those cases, but wouldn't specify which one.
Really?
Yes. But there's been a third arrest. So far, last time we covered this, there had been the arrest of Brooks Hoke, who was her boyfriend at the time. And there had also been the arrest of Joseph Lawson. Now, we have the arrest of Stephen Lawson. Now, it is presumed that Stephen Lawson is the father of Joseph Lawson.
Okay.
But these media sources say they can't 100% confirm it, but it is assumed that, and you'll see pictures here, and they look a lot alike. One just has dark hair because they're younger. One has, grayed hair.
Yeah.
But their facial features look a lot alike. And it would make sense for them to be related considering they're connected to the main suspect in this case, which is her boyfriend, Brooks Hoke. Mm-hmm. Or whatever, Brooks Hoke. I have trouble saying his name. But, so, he is charged with two things, same as his presumed son, which is conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with evidence. Do you remember when we very first talked about this? The first arrest was Joseph Lawson, and we were like, what?
Yeah.
Just conspiracy and tampering with evidence? There's no murderer?
Yep.
And then we got Brooks Hoke, who is presumed to be the murderer, and now we have this guy.
Yeah.
Which is the same charges as his presumed son, which is interesting.
It is interesting. Mm-hmm. Makes me wonder if they were hired, and that's what we theorized before.
Dude, lawyers dropped some bombshells recently in this case.
Really?
Yeah. So, now, the Lawsons were first heard of in an interrogation tape with Brooks Hoke with the Nelson County Sheriff's Department. He got a phone call, okay? The detective had asked who was on the other end of the line during a late-night phone call on the night Roger disappeared. He asked, who is Steve Lawson? Steve Lawson works for me. Okay, this wasn't the phone call. That was his brother. This is him asking him about a phone call he got.
Okay.
Yeah, on the night that Crystal disappeared. But he said that he worked for him. That Stephen Lawson worked for him, the boyfriend. He said he couldn't remember why he called him so late. Then he picked up his phone and called him from inside the interrogation room. Wait, so he got 2 phone calls that day? I actually didn't realize that. I didn't put 2 and 2 together in my head.
Yeah.
Until I just started reading the transcript.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But
strange.
He said, the other night you called me really, really late. I can't remember what you were calling me about. And it said it was a question about rental properties. And he said, so that begs the question in my mind, if she's in the truck next to you when she called, why would you need to call her? The detective asked. Interesting, right? Because he also made a phone call to Crystal and asked her to call him back. So that's it with that. But the bombshells released by attorneys in this case is there was solicitation.
Okay.
Yep. Really, really, really interesting. So with this arrest, we learned more. So court records were unsealed, it says, on Friday with his indictment of a grand jury. And it claims that So there is an attorney who's saying he doesn't know anything about this. Like, his defense attorney is saying he has no idea at all. But there's some weird... I don't know. I don't understand how this happened. Like, did the police know this off the bat? So it says that Joseph Lawson drove Crystal's vehicle west on the Bluegrass Parkway to mile marker 14 or 16, where he had a flat tower. That's a flat tire. That's the first time we're hearing about what happened with her car and why it was there.
Yeah, that is a big deal. Really big deal.
Yep. So it says, Lavitt, the attorney Lavitt, there's likely, from my knowledge of the case, evidence there was solicitation. He claims someone tried to hire a person to kill Rogers. He said that they are going to make a heavy effort to prove it in court.
I mean, yeah, I think they should prove anyone that's tied to it. You know, regardless of how little or how big, a life was lost here. Now, obviously, presumed lost, okay? We don't have a body, but, like, she's up and gone, and she was a mother that took her job as a mother very seriously and loved her kids and were with them every day. So she didn't just disappear.
But you know what's weird?
So everyone should be convicted that has any part to do with this. Everybody.
What doesn't make sense to me is that Theodore Lavitt, the attorney, is representing Lawson. And he's claiming their solicitation. Like, wouldn't that be your client, though? That was solicited? His son was driving the car. So is he saying somebody was hired, but it wasn't my client? Because he said he knows nothing about her death. He has made this statement over and over and over to the police. In my presence and outside my presence, he would never harm Crystal. He didn't harm her, and he knows nothing of the murder or her disappearance. But then goes on to say these things.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. He said that Joseph drove the car, which is his son, and that he thinks that somebody hired somebody to kill her. But it is my immediate assumption that it is his client and his client's son.
Yeah.
Like, why else are they charged in the case? Like, you know what I mean? I'm so curious what the evidence is against them.
Yeah.
It's so mysterious.
It is mysterious. Unless there's something weird going on here and they're actually an informant and the only way that they felt comfortable coming forward was to stage charges. I don't know. We've seen things like this happen before, so I don't know.
It's really strange.
It is strange, and there's a lot of weird details around this case as well, just because they were involved in law enforcement and they did have some close connections to law enforcement. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it is strange.
And he worked for them. Like, Stephen worked for Hoke.
Yeah.
And he called him that night and then called Crystal. He claims it was about rental properties, but who knows, you know? I wonder if he had any idea he was in the interrogation room when he said, yeah, I was asking you about, you know, this rental property. Which he said he was asking for numbers about a house or something like that.
No.
Really strange. I had a hard time making sense of this in my head, and honestly, it still doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So, I want to know what you guys think. Do you have a theory as to why the attorney of the guy who was just arrested and is supposedly a part of this crime along with Crystal's boyfriend and his son is saying that somebody hired to kill her and that the son did indeed drive the car that night? Doesn't make much sense to me. I feel like you implicated your client a little bit more, but maybe he has evidence we just don't understand yet.
Yep.
So, yeah, let me know what you think.
Yeah.